Yesterday I filmed a whole YouTube video in slow-mo, so I'm just filming me to see whether this is in slow-mo too. It's not in slow-mo, I haven't got anything in my teeth. So I'm going to do a quick YouTube video about my journey with HA, which I filmed all day yesterday. Oh, all day. God, I'm so dramatic. I'm just sat in my dressing room, wardrobe room. That sounded more bougie than what it is. It's literally just a box room with a wardrobe in. That's literally all it is. So I think there is a video, no, I know there is a video across my YouTube somewhere about my journey with hypothalamic amenorrhea and getting my period back, but I feel like it's time to do a quick updated one. I'm not going to chat to you for very long, partly because it's quite boring because I've lived it for so long, and also I filmed it yesterday and it's so annoying. My journey with hypothalamic amenorrhea started, I got into fitness around the time I was 16, basically to impress a guy. It was all a bit pathetic really. And started off pretty innocently. It was literally just to impress a guy. Basically I was with a guy who called me a slob, and that's why I started going to the gym, to prove to him that I wasn't a slob. Then I got really into it and I started to go really regularly, got into protein shakes, got into all of that. Was really under eating, so I was eating maybe like, I was 100% eating way under 1,000 calories a day. I was eating like chicken and salad and protein shakes and eggs and literally only protein. That's what the gym bros told you to eat, right? And I went to A-levels and then I went to uni to study fashion, media and marketing, and at the same time trained as a personal trainer and went to do a nutrition qualification which introduced me to the world of track. So during this time at uni I was studying fashion, media and marketing, and I changed everything towards fitness. So I sort of became the fit one. Now I was sort of had attached that label to myself within my friendship group before I'd gone to uni anyway. Like I had started to go to social occasions so I could go to the gym, and I wouldn't eat out with friends. I would eat dinner before, so I didn't the label became me. When I went to uni and started changing and doing my dissertations on Nike and Adidas and all of that, that's when the fitness me really sort of dug deep into my heart, and I felt as if I had to keep this label up. So from going from eating under 1,000 calories a day, training as a personal trainer, then suddenly being a personal trainer and being like, wow, I really have to stay in shape now and I really have to be really fit. I also didn't really enjoy strength training as much, so I did a lot of HIIT training, a lot. I would do fasted training in the morning and then go back in the evening. I was reliant on 5 coffees a day. I would let myself have 5 raisins or just about around that pre-training. I would have to nap twice a day, once on the way to uni, once on the way back on the train. All of these things that have manifested in my life due to under eating. So things like brittle hair, brittle nails, really bad skin, really bad digestion, horrendous digestion. I ended up developing allergies to dairy and gluten, which thankfully now I've overcome. I'm out the other side. I can literally eat whatever I want. I don't think anything really affects me. Oh, actually pasta gives me the farts, and certain foods sugar level wise I have to be a bit careful of, but nothing in terms of digestion wise, that's all good. I've just drank lots of water and I feel like I can't breathe properly. Then from there, where were we? From there, oh yeah, uni, digestion. I was waking up in the middle of the night. I was exhausted. I sort of ruined quite a few relationships around me. I say ruined, that's a bit dramatic, but I distanced myself a lot, and I really started to go to the gym, and I, when I was at uni, didn't really dive headfirst into the uni life. I would get up at 5 to go to the gym while they were all coming in from their nights out. So I felt like I distanced myself and I isolated myself quite a bit in the bid to be the fitness one. I was obviously documenting it on Instagram and sort of had big goals of being this big fitness influencer. I loved Zanna Van Dyke and people like that at the time. And then I found Natasha Ocean on YouTube and really liked her as well. Anyway, came out of this relationship, eventually ended it, had been on the pill since I was 15, and at this point I think I was 22. I think maybe just coming up to my 22nd. He had to come to my 21st. Yeah, maybe 22. Anyway, doesn't really matter when it was. But anyway, I split up with him and decided to come off the pill as one of my big girl boss moments, freedom. I came off the pill, but to go on a fitness retreat, got a new job, started working at ProDirect, and I was sort of heading up their fitness brand. So the label of the fit one continued. Then also because I was a personal trainer and I was working at ProDirect full time, then I was also still training as a PT early mornings or evenings and still getting in my own training. I very much became the fitness and the health one within ProDirect. So I was always known to be the one eating healthy food. If I didn't eat healthy food, it was oh my God, I can't believe you're eating that. So I sort of attached this label to myself. As I said, a few years back before that, I did do a nutrition coaching qualification, which did transform my life. I got really into tracking, and it meant that I went from eating like 700 calories a day to 2,000 calories a day, which is actually progress. But just like a lot of things, there's always, you can have much of a good thing. And I got very, very much obsessed with tracking my food and tracking my calories, to the point that I actually isolated myself even more. So I hated going out for food. I didn't like going out anywhere that I couldn't track my food. I hated other people cooking for me because it meant that I couldn't weigh it and I couldn't track it. I became really obsessed with my steps. I was wearing a Fitbit at the time, so steps and calorie tracking was like key. Making sure I hit all my protein, all that sort of thing was like so important to me, and became so obsessive. My sleep got worse, my digestion got worse, but I thought maybe the solution was because I wasn't doing enough, and I thought, you know, if I just get this perfect, then I'll be okay. So for example, say I'd go on holiday and I'd just let myself have like a free time, I would binge rapidly to the point that it would make me feel so uncomfortable. I'd get so badly constipated. That's another thing, I always suffered from constipation because your digestion's so sluggish. I would then be so poorly, blame it on like the allergies, go back to the gym and be like full on, go for it, restrict all my calories. Like it was very restrictive, very obsessive, and I see it a lot now that people are so focused on it that they might not necessarily see that, you know, you think you're in control and you think you're determined and motivated, but actually it's hindering your life in so many other ways. Because what I've found since coming out the other side of it, there is nothing better than eating what you want, still feeling good in your body, and seeing that in your performance with training. There's such like you think that clean up your diet, do more training, do more blah blah blah, do this is going to get you where you want to go, and actually sometimes it's actually clawing it all back, bringing it back to basics, doing less, calming your nervous system, fueling your body properly, and that's what gets you where you want to be. Anyway, I digress. So I came off the pill. Then for 2 years I didn't have a period. They say to wait 3 months after you come off the pill to have your period, but I didn't, and I was sort of thinking, yeah, this isn't that good. And then eventually I found Natasha Ocean. She did a video with Rena McGregor about missing your period and losing your period through training, and I was like, I think this could be related to me. I mentioned it to my mum, which everyone just thought I was like, apart from my stepmom, everyone just thought I was a pretty like determined, fit and healthy person, and like I was sort of living the lifestyle of my work, which was obviously pro-director at Fit and as a personal trainer, whereas my stepmom did know I had problems. She thought it was very strange that, you know, I was so obsessed. I would get up and go for like a mega long run on Boxing Day, which actually I do kind of enjoy still, but like it wasn't for the right reasons. Do you know what I mean? Now I would go for a run with Tom just for fun, whereas that was literally to burn the calories. I would be scared. I would be so scared of carbs that I'd just tell her that I didn't like the carbs. I would have to have a nap in the middle of the day. She saw that because I would only go and visit them every few days, whereas I think when you live with me, you just get used to my lifestyle, right? So like my mum was just pretty used to my lifestyle. Anyway, I started sharing with her some of the things that I found, and eventually my mum said, right, Chloe, this has been like 2 years now. This isn't good that you're not having a period. I'm happy to support you in having an appointment with Rena McGregor. I was really grateful for that, and I always try to push and recommend Rena McGregor, but I understand that not everyone has the money to be able to do that. It is a private clinic. During this time as well, I had been back and forth with the doctors, basically come back in 3 months. If it hasn't come back, I'd go back. They would just say come back in 3 months. I had blood works done, which always came back saying that it was fine. I eventually demanded an appointment with a gynecologist who did like all the scans, and they originally diagnosed me with PCOS, and then just as I was leaving the door they said, oh no, wait, sorry, no you don't. We don't know what you've got. So I just burst and left. So that was like 2 years of back and forth with the doctors, with them saying they don't know, basically. I booked him for an appointment in the December with Rena McGregor. She had a 3-month waiting list, which took us up to March, which took us up to the Wednesday before we went into lockdown. And at this point it was pretty rife, so everything went onto Zoom. So me and Rena and my mum had our appointment with Rena on Zoom, which was like so crazy at the time, wasn't it? So normal now. And she basically took one look at my bloods and was like, yep, hypothalamic amenorrhea. So you need to eat more, chill out, which is all easy said easily said than done. Yeah, that's right. Because if you think, I programmed myself, and I wouldn't say I had an eating disorder, but I definitely had disordered thoughts around food and exercise and a really bad relationship with my body. So while it was brilliant for her to say, give me an answer, I loved the fact that a professional was like, yes, this is what you've got. I'm like, right, cool, now we can solve it. I was really underestimated the amount of barriers I would then come up against. I think part of me was really ready at this point. Part of me also helped the fact that we were in lockdown, because I wasn't able to go to the gym. I didn't have to see everyone. I could sort of eat in silence and sort of heal in silence. I was also able to spend a lot of time like journaling, walking, spending time on my own. I was living on my own in my 2-bed flat. It was a really, really healing time for me. But I also think there was like an element of I was ready then. The previous 2 years, I attempted to get my period back. Like, I might have dialed back my training. I did something called Project Become Good at Shit. If you followed me for years, then you might know about that, which is basically that I focused a lot of my work in my training into like handstands and bar work and like gymnastic-y stuff to try to become good at shit. I attempted dancing, and I tried to do a little bit of a different sort of training approach, but it was all sort of masked that I would then sort of restrict my a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? It was like a half, I would say I was half in rather than going for it. After that appointment with Rini, I went all in. In terms of all in, you may have heard that from the No Period Now What book. My version of all in was following Rini's meal plan, so not training fasted, making sure you're eating carbs at every meal, eating every 2 to 3 hours, making sure I'm having full fat dairy to support my hormone. And I still trained, but it was like lots of body weight stuff and a lot of walking rather than HIIT. It wasn't any HIIT. I did, so this was in the March. In the May, I did do a 100k in May charity challenge, which I spoke to Rini about, and she was like, why did you do that? And I was like, oh, I just felt like I wanted to, but we both knew there's like a little freak out moment. She said, that's okay, do it, but let's just fuel for it. And I did, and I ended up having a period in the July, which is brilliant. From there, I then had a pretty regular cycle until sort of like October time. October time? When did I move to London? No, I had a regular cycle maybe right up until like the following sort of May, February time. Had a really regular cycle. I wasn't really training, wasn't really doing anything, but I did feel so much freer, and I had so much energy, and I was such a nice person, and I really like dived into spirituality and journaling and meditating, and it was just, I loved it. Then I started running again, and then eventually I got into CrossFit, and that's where I started to have like a few irregular periods, and then I sort of had regular, irregular periods on and off since then. So what's that, 2021? Yeah, so I'd probably say for the past 2 years I've had regular then irregular periods. And that is through my CrossFit. So Rini McGregor taught me, she was basically like, Chloe, has your body changed in the past, say, 6 months? Because I had another check-in with her, like maybe like a year ago. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, has your food changed? And I was like, nah, not really. Proud of myself. And she was like, well, it needs to. Basically, when you're training and you're getting stronger and you're developing more muscle, that means you burn more energy at rest than you did, say, 6 months previous. So you need more fuel. If you're pushing yourself more, if you're training more, if you've got more muscle mass, you need more fuel than you did before. So your food should constantly be evolving as your training and your life evolves too. And I was like, pooh. So that really helped. So but in around like January this year, I really started to focus on that, and they did get pretty regular. I was really focusing on it. And then in July this year, September now, nearly September now, might be September by the time you see this. The July, I missed my period, but I'd been like so focused on training and food, and I was eating more, and I'd gained a bit of weight, and I'd really dialed back my training, and I was like, what is going on? Like, I was fuming. And I'd also just been to Glastonbury and been on holiday, and normally going on holiday, because you're so chill and you're eating whatever, I always come on my period like on the last day of my holiday, and I didn't. I looked at my Whoop, and my Whoop was saying increase in heart rate. I'll do a proper video on all of this. And increase in resting heart rate, and my HRV was down. So I was like, oh, maybe I'm just poorly. And I thought, oh, this is just weird. Anyway, turns out I was pregnant, and today is the day of my 12-week scan. So it turns out my body is absolutely fine. So fine, in fact, that it's another one. And here we are. And that's my journey, really. A very brief overview. I think I could do a little bit more about like my food habits and my exercise, but yeah, as you can imagine, I am a little bit sidetracked at the moment. I know, crazy, isn't it? And I'm so proud of myself and my body that it's just like, yeah, get on. Like, you've really focused on yourself and really sorted your food and your training out so much that now your body's like, yeah, no, I'm not just safe enough to have a period. Mate, have a kid. So yeah, that is the next phase of my life. You can probably guarantee that I'm going to be talking about it. So I hope you stick around. And yeah, go have my scan now, shall I?